What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. How's it going? So, I wanted to come through, and I meant to have done this a while ago, actually, but I just got sidetracked and preoccupied. But, better late than never, right? Más vale tarde que nunca. Alright. Um, so, as you guys know, it has arrived. The time has arrived. We finally have the Divine Dark Skin magazine in print, in circulation now. Bam. All right. And, of course, this is the cover, as you know. And I'll say that this is primarily a women's magazine, obviously. And obviously, or more obviously, it is marketed and geared towards brown skin and dark skin women. But nevertheless, I wanted to support as well. Definitely wanted to get a physical copy as well. But of course, I wanted to support. Show my support. And again, this is the cover. And people are raving about the front cover, but I'm like, look at the back cover though. I'm like, if she ain't black, she ain't stacked. All right. But again, I wanted to come through and kind of just give my thoughts and opinions about the magazine, kind of like my first impressions and whatnot. So, on the cover, we have some news stories, of course. And on the cover, Christy made sure to put a, very, melanated woman, as well natural hair, too, as, the debut issue, or the model for the debut issue, right? The inaugural issue. So some of the stories on the front cover are like leveling up, a new awakening for black women. All right, as you know, Christy has been, very vocal about black women being hypergamous. Let's see. Next story on the cover: Don't Do It All. Black women's obsession with the struggle. Okay, so she getting, psychological with y'all women. All right, because sometimes, black women, sometimes feel the need to just be Superwoman, to be Wonder Woman. And to be fair, the community does kind of push that on black women. So it's not entirely, the like black women's fault, right? Next story, spring makeup fashion trends. Let's see, plus the real nude colors for dark skin. All right. So again, some beauty tips specifically for the brown skin and dark skin sisters, right? Another story, finally getting real about colorism, right? And, this magazine offers a very safe space for brown skin and dark skin women to vent and to express their frustrations about colorism, without the fear of being, shamed, gaslighted, embarrassed, right? Judged. Right, and that, unfortunately, that's really sad that you have to have a space for that within the community. It should already just be the community itself you could do that with, but unfortunately, that's not it. So having this space is unfortunately necessary. I do wish we didn't have to have this space, but sadly, we do. Next story, the power of femininity and why some dark-skinned women don't have it. Right, so again, the cover. All right. And next I want to read the editorial, the editor's letter. And this is from, of course, we all know who the editor is, right? Christina, aka Chrissy, as we all know her. And I found, the editor's letter to be very interesting. So I want to read it and share it with you guys and see what you guys think about it. All right. Oh yeah, and also here's the photo too. You know, yeah, a very nice, beautiful woman here with a very regal, big, beautiful afro. All right. So this is the letter. Why a magazine for dark-skinned women? The DDS debut issue focuses on getting candid about colorism, the forbidden topic that is rarely discussed straightforwardly or without bias towards those it affects the most. As I present my first publication, I know how important it is to set a strong foundation by articulating my mission clearly, to carve out a much-needed promotional space for dark-skinned Black women and girls, not a place to sulk, but one to empower through lifestyle, beauty, and fashion. This magazine was inspired by the shared experience that dark-skinned Black or dark-skinned women worldwide have with colorism. This includes the Black female models that speak about fashion industry tokenism, down to the little girls with lack of self-love due to the white and light beauty standard that is forced upon them. I express my position firmly, a bit controversially. I am intentionally exclusive with my brand. All right, exclusivity, as we all know, of course, right? Chrissy is very much about exclusivity in regards to dark skin and brown skin Black female promotion. All right. I understand that because dark skinned women are at a promotional deficit, inclusivity for us is futile. And unfortunately, it undermines brown skin and dark skinned Black women as well. Chrissy is not about, as you guys may know, or as you may not know, Chrissy, she's not about being kind of equal opportunity when it comes to this, okay? To keep it real. And, I understand where she's coming from with that. Some people probably would have issues with that because they're like, you got to be fair. You got to be balanced. But unfortunately, in situations like this, in order to correct the problem, you have to be unfair and unbalanced in order to kind of like balance things out, right? Kind of like with racism. When we talk about dealing with racism and correcting issues of racism, we're not really, like Black folks ain't really coming with no fair and balance. We're like, hey, we kind of need some things to be shifted towards our favor in order to offset some of the negative effects of racism. All right. Next, personally, I am a strong believer in unity. But let's be honest, the color divide is already there, and it isn't mending anytime soon. At DDS, we operate in truth and refuse to toe the line of political correctness at the expense of dark-skinned women. All right, that's what's up. To put it frankly, we want to come first for a change. Oh snap! All right, Christy took it there with y'all. To convey my message properly, I chose to promote a variety of dark-skinned Black women throughout the African diaspora, such as our cover model, Wawa Zabel. I think that's how you say her name. From hair texture to facial features and skin tone, she represents a beauty that is consistently overshadowed in most publications. As our slogan promises, women like Hawa are, quote unquote, never the token and always the star at DDS. And I'll say in regards to that slogan, I kind of feel like the slogan should be flipped around a little bit. Kind of like always the star and never the token. Kind of like starting out with the positive, right? Like you're always the star, you're never the token, versus you're never the token and always the star. That's just, my little 2 cents there. I think it would kind of flow a little better, no shade. Let's see. Welcome to the spring season in the debut issue with a, we welcome the spring season in the debut issue with a dark-skin friendly spring color palette. A list of nude colored products for dark skin and countless beauty and fashion brands owned, operated, and are promoted by dark-skinned women. You'll choose this magazine equipped with all trends tailored for your complexion and with a newfound hope in dark-skinned black female representation. Christina, Editor-in-Chief. I kind of wish Christy would have left kind of like a closing note, like, sincerely yours, or sincerely, best regards, then her name and title. But nevertheless, it gets the job done. All right. So page 14, it has kind of like the table of contents. And the contents of the magazine are divided into chapters, actually. It's like chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. And, each chapter sort of seemingly kind of like has a theme, I think. Yeah, like chapter 1's theme is more so like, beauty and fashion, I believe. Chapter 2 theme is like, kind of like mental and health issues type, topics. Chapter 3, I would say, is more about, I'll say, a combination of life and style. I'll say, like, more so lifestyle. Chapter 4 would be kind of like finances and, a story about choosing your college major and money management, right? So it's kind of, divided into sort of like sections, and each section sort of follows a theme. You know what I mean? But overall, I think it's a beautiful magazine. I think it was very well put together. And, as well, this is very unique because I don't think there's really a magazine on the market that specifically offers this, or, is about brown skin and dark skin black females specifically and exclusively. I don't think so. I don't think there's a magazine with that scope. At best, you would get about black women, but it wouldn't be about specifically brown skin and dark skin black women, though. So, this magazine has already sort of, made history in its own way, in its own right? And I could really see this, becoming a big thing, slowly but surely, right? Because there is a need for it, right? This is unique, and people are like, oh, okay, I'm interested in this, all right. Because Chrissy had, more success than she was anticipating. She didn't anticipate such, a strong support for the magazine. All right, she didn't anticipate as strong of a support, but, she got it, and she's thankful for it. So, that's pretty much my, first impressions and thoughts on the magazine. As well, something that I did notice was that sometimes dark-skinned would be hyphenated and sometimes it wouldn't be. And that sort of was like a little annoying for me, I'll admit. Some people probably wouldn't notice it because they're just not about that life. But yeah, I was like, okay, it's hyphenated here, but here it's not hyphenated, right? And dark-skinned, not dark-skinned, but dark-skinned, like, oh, a dark-skinned woman, right? So, that was like, okay. But overall, beautiful magazine. But before I go, I do want to speak on something. You know, got to switch gears and get real with y'all now. All right. Okay. Where is Chrissy's, Black Queen trophy at? Right. Because if this was some bum ass Hotep Negro who had a whole history of doing fuck shit, especially fuck shit geared towards black women, especially dark skinned and brown skinned black women, it would be all types of parades and celebrations about this shit, right? But since it's a black woman doing it, for some reason the bar is set higher. Notice that. That's a little strange, because in other communities, the bar is, usually for women, the bar is set lower, and they expect more from the men than the women. So oftentimes in other communities, the bar is set higher for the men than the women when it comes to situations like this, right? But for some reason, that is not the case here, all right? So I'm looking at people, I'm like, okay, it's almost like we may be low-key dealing with sort of a hidden bias here, right? Where if Chrissy, let's, switch around the gender, right? If Chrissy was a dark-skinned man doing this versus a dark-skinned woman doing this, it would be just the best thing ever. Not to say that people ain't supporting, because people are, right? But I feel like if Christy was a dark-skinned man and was saying the same exact things and had the same exact platform, she wouldn't get half of the pushback and half of the animosity and half of the beefs that she's been in if she were a dark-skinned black man, or even just the black man, or even just not a dark-skinned or brown-skinned black woman, to keep it real. I'm not saying that it would be completely perfect and that everything would be, 100% like a crystal staircase, but still, it's, I just sense a hidden bias at play, and it's irking me. It's really vexing me. It's annoying me. It's triggering me. Right? Because it's just like, why? Why is there a hidden bias? And as we know, people are probably not going to even admit to the bias. They're going to find some way to sidestep it, some way to justify it, this, that, and the motherfucking third. So it's just like, it becomes even more frustrating, right? When you're trying to call out the hidden bias, right? And I think ultimately, hidden bias or unconscious bias is what's at play when it comes to colorism a lot of the times. Sometimes it can be just a very conscious bias, but oftentimes I think it's sort of subconscious, and you may not even be aware of it in some situations until it's brought to your attention, right? But nevertheless, a beautiful magazine. I know that Chrissy's been getting a lot of support. The brown skin and dark skinned women have been supporting, and as well, there were some light skinned and mixed women up in the mix supporting. Because Chrissy does have light skinned and mixed biracial women who do support her. Right. As well, she has some brown skinned and dark skinned women who don't support her. So it's not always like black and white, quote unquote, but again, it's just something that I felt the need to speak on and give my 2 cents about, as well, give my perspective on this, and, let you know what's up. So yeah, beautiful magazine, hidden bias at play. And what else can I say? But thanks for watching. Feel free to comment. Feel free to leave your feedback. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.